So, I just got out of Avengers Endgame. Um, and I managed to do it without any drink or popcorn because I was too impatient to get in there, but I made it. That actually wasn't that bad. I had a good meal before I went in, so I'm fine. But before I get into any thoughts or anything, bear in mind there will be spoilers. So if you want to avoid spoilers, wait until you've seen this if you're going to go see it. If not, then just, whatever. Spoiler warning is in effect. You know what to do. That's the big thing within the first minute. And speaking of the first minute, within like 10 minutes of the movie, yes, I'm going to jump right into it after the spoiler warning, because, this is definitely spoiler filled. Within the first 10 minutes, Tony and Nebula get brought back to Earth. Thank you, Captain Marvel. And then everybody gets together and like, you know what, we're going to go kick Thanos' ass, get the stones back. Well, Thanos has unmade the stones, and Thor's like, fuck this shit, off with his head. Because that's what you do when you're a pissed off Asgardian god, and you motherfucker killed half the universe. So of course, 5 years later, we find out what happens with certain characters. We actually find out within the first 5 minutes. Within I say 5 minutes, within the first scene, we see Clint, Hawkeye. He lost his family thanks to the snap, and he later snaps and starts. He's basically an assassin for hire at a certain point throughout the movie, and of course, Nat snaps him out of it. All these snap puns, And anyway, within the 5 years, we see what everybody's been doing. They're patrolling the galaxy, patrolling the universe, etc. And then I think it's Adam, Ant-Man, comes up with the idea of maybe time travel, because where was he? He was in an alternate dimension, and he was just finally able to get back after 5 years. Everybody thought he was snapped, but no. Apparently the Wasp was snapped, and of course angst and sadness. And I should also state right now, before I go any further, I am probably going to mix up some names. I am probably going to do this or that or the other. I haven't seen too many of these movies. I saw this because I saw Infinity War, and I liked that very much. I wanted to see the conclusion. So, anyway, and I know there's movies in between them that fill in some of the holes as well. I get it. But essentially, they put together this time travel plot to go get the Infinity Stones from the past in 3 different time periods, each set during different points of the previous movies. There's 3 back when the first Avengers movie was going on, and they managed to get 2 of those. Loki makes off with the 3rd one. I don't know what the hell is going to happen there, or unless that was actually part of the movie. I don't know. What else we have? We've got Bruce getting the time stone with with a lot of conversation, a lot of talking, got the time stone with the promise that once they're done with them, they put them back exactly when they found them. As to not fuck up timelines and shit. Although, given what happens later on in the movie, I don't know how fucked up timelines are gonna be. Where else? What else? They go to. You have characters going to far off planets. I forget their names, but one of them that goes with is Nebula, who, of course, given the time period, is the same time period where Thanos and Gamora and Nebula are all plotting to get the Infinity Stones. And hey, there's 2 Nebulas, and she's got the computer relay network or whatever the fuck it's called. So that's how Thanos in the past is like, oh shit, there's 2 of them. She's from the future. We're gonna send in our Nebula as a mole, and so that ends up happening. Meanwhile, everybody else is getting the Infinity Stones, and of course, somebody has to be sacrificed for the Soul Stone, and it happens to come down to a choice between Clint and Natasha. Natasha sacrifices herself. Because, of course, she does. It had to be one of them. And, of course, angst happens. Everybody gets back with the Infinity Stones. After some wacky hijinks and a captain-on-captain battle, as well as another leap to the past to not only get the Tesseract at an even further point back in the past, but also get some more of the stuff that they need to actually use their time machine suits. But anyway, they get back, and then they put the Infinity Stones in their gauntlet. They have Bruce, who is half Hulk, half Bruce, because balance in nature. I don't know, but it's not a bad thing. But Bruce does a snap, brings everybody back. We don't see all of that right away because, of course not, because everybody, when they were dusted, was spread out across the universe. So, of course, we're not going to see them immediately. Yeah, and apologies for the eyes; they are a little dry. So that all happens, and then suddenly Thanos comes in from the past and blows up the place. Surprisingly, nobody dies. And Thanos is like, yeah, not only am I going to get the stones from you, I'm also going to bring in pretty much all of my army, and we're just going to overwhelm you and kill you until you all are fucking dead. And Thanos is going to enjoy it because he realizes these guys are trying to go and do what he's doing, and, well, he can't have that now, can he? And once he's done with that, he's going to go full Enrico Pucci on the universe because, of course, he is. Those of you who get that, you're welcome. But for those who don't get it, he's going to reset the universe in the way he wants it to be. That's the basics of it. And then big damn heroes moment. Everybody who is dusted comes back. You got Doctor Strange, you got Spider-Man, you got Scarlet Witch, etc., 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 etc. Starting with Black Panther. And everybody's trying to get the stones to Ant-Man and Wasp, who are trying to return them to the past. I don't know. No, they do end up surviving. We do see them in the ending. But their van is blown up. I mean, obviously they do get out, but we don't see that until, the ending. Van blows up. After this whole pass off from Clint to Spidey to Captain Marvel, and the thing about Captain Marvel, they don't use her a lot in this movie, which it's kind of understandable because she's a little overpowered, which I ain't complaining. But for narrative purposes, of course, she's overpowered. But and she does show how overpowered she is when she fights Thanos. He's having a hard time, and he has to actually pull out one of the stones from the gauntlet. Yeah, he gets that gauntlet too. He has to pull out one of the stones just to knock her back, which that's saying something. Although I do like the big damn moment where Spidey passes off the gauntlet to Captain Marvel, and he's like, well, wait, you going to do this all your own? And then cue the Amazon Brigade, including a very pissed off Scarlet Witch. She is pissed, and she gets some good licks on Thanos. I like how a lot of these characters do get a few good licks in on Thanos. Cap is proven to be worthy of Mjolnir, because of course he is. Wow. Rude! Sorry about that. Rude light. Anyway, so, where was I? Right, final battle. At the end, Thanos tries to snap again. Nothing happens, because Stoney nicked the stones and made his own gauntlet, because his suit has nanotech. And so Tony snaps, wipes out Thanos and his army, just dusts them all. But he dies because, he's a human. I mean, even Bruce, in his kind of Hulkish form, he even suffered a broken arm. So, and we all know Thanos was fucked up when he used it initially. So Tony dies, holds the funeral. They send Captain America back to go and return the stones to their proper times. He does that, and then he spends some extra time in the past, and then comes right on back, and he's an old man. Passes the mantle on to what's his name? That was one of I want to say the Falcon, the guy who's the Falcon. I think. No, wait, I'm pretty sure it is the Falcon. Yeah. So he passes on the mantle there. We see Clint and what's his name? Scott. Their families are all happy. People remembering those who have passed on. Nice callbacks like throughout the series. Even the ones I don't get, I understand that, like, yeah, this is callback. This is something that's happened before. Those who were not killed by the snap, unfortunately, are not back for good. I mean, you see Gamora, but it's past Gamora, and she doesn't stick around in the present, unfortunately. We also don't get Loki back, at least not present Loki, as far as we know. We know past Loki got the Tesseract. I don't know if that was part of the original Avengers movie or if that's something that happened with Wibbly Wobbly Timey Wimey. Which also begs another question. That's past Thanos that was killed. What happens to the Thanos we saw in the previous movie? What happens to him? What happens to all of that? Just, I don't know. But I mean, everybody's back. Well, except for those who died. The deaths that ended up sticking were Loki. As far as I know, Loki, Gamora, Natalie, and Tony. Those are the ones that have stuck, as far as I know, by the end of the movie. That's the ones I can remember, at least. But you know, and Thor passes on the mantle of leadership to Valkyrie, I think that is. Yeah. So yeah. Lots of yeah, that's basic thing of the whole movie, and it took me 11 minutes to get to that point. But yeah, in terms of just the movie, you know, like the little moments or whatever, I like the little character interactions. I'm a sucker for good character interactions, honestly. There's a lot of good ones throughout the movie. Like, there's this point in the scene where they're discussing the time travel option, and they're in a cafe, and Bruce is, you know, doing his thing, because that's when we learn that he's, like, mild Hulk at this point. You know, to where he's Bruce, but he's also the body of the Hulk, which that turns into a thing a little bit later. And there's the scene with the kids, and they're getting autographs with him, and it's kind of great. And then when Bruce is trying to get the time stone from, I don't know her character's name, I am so sorry. She's basically like, nope, and just yeets Bruce's soul out of his Hulk body. And it's like, okay, we're rolling with that. And of course, the little moment when Tony is in his living room trying to figure out how time travel is going to work. And he says shit, and his daughter repeats him, because of course she does. She's a kid. She's going to repeat that. But lots of fun little moments that I'll probably think of and just mention on social media. Well, maybe not so soon on social media, because, you know, it's only been like the first night. But eventually, you know, and definitely a lot of memeable moments. Like, oh God, what was it? I think it was definitely there's at least one good memeable moment with the Hulk. I will probably know it when I see it, but I cannot think of it right now. Damn. It's a 3-hour movie. 3-hour movie, and sometimes my memory is shit. So yeah. That I think is about all I've got to say at the moment. Very good film, even if you're not big into the comic book movies. Like, you know, I mean, I've never been too big into them. I've seen Iron Man, I saw Age of Ultron, I saw Infinity War, and now I've seen this. This is like my 4th Marvel movie that I've seen. And it's pretty good, even with my limited Marvel movie experience. Now, that doesn't mean I haven't looked up information on other movies or have had people tell me about other movies. Becky has been very helpful with that. So, you know, I have limited knowledge, but even with limited knowledge, or even no knowledge, the movie, I think, does a good job in getting like a new viewer in, and getting you to care about the characters enough to where you want to root for them. But yeah, so yeah, that's gonna be it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Take care, everybody, and until next time, this is Gomer, the Ranting Thespian, signing off.